Financial management assists the management in various areas requiring decision making. So it is not a separate subject like accounting and other disciplines of the accounting. It is just assist the management to take right decision at right time. Then the areas where the application of financial management is required and how these areas are covered with the help of financial management. See, the management of any business has three key decisions has to be taken. One is investment decision, second one financing decision, third one dividend decisions. Investment decisions, financing decisions and dividend decisions. Financing decisions, third one dividend decisions. So first one, investment decisions. This is about allocation of money into various assets. I repeat, this is the allocation of the money or the allocation of funds to various assets, both long-term assets as well as short-term assets. So, while taking these investment decisions, financial management helps to allocate money into various assets in order to maximize the return on assets. It helps to identify those assets whose rate of return exceeds cost of funds. Suppose you have been borrowing money at 10% and you are investing. At the time of investment, the financial management helps to identify those assets where the rate of return exceeds the cost of funds. You are borrowing at 10% means the rate of return on those assets where we have to make investment will be at or above the 10%. So, optimum allocation can be done by applying the finance principles. So, this is about investment decisions. Second one, financing decisions. To make investment, we need necessary funds. The funds required for investment has to be taken from various sources, both long-term sources as well as short-term sources. Financial management helps to identify those sources from where the funds required for the project should be borrowed. While borrowing funds, the financial management helps to reduce the cost of funds by arranging the funds in the right mix. So the purpose of financing decisions is to minimize the cost of capital. That objective can be fulfilled only when you have sufficient knowledge about financial management. The objective of investment decisions is to maximize the rate of return on assets. That objective can be fulfilled only when you have thorough knowledge about financial management techniques. And third one, dividend decisions. See, you are borrowing money, you are investing money. So from this investment you have some return. Out of this, the cost of funds will be paid. For example, if you are getting 20% from your assets, you are borrowing the money at 10%. Out of 20%, 10% will be paid to finances. The balance 10% left with the organization. Now the issue is this surplus 10%, the surplus 10%, will it be given as dividend or should be retained, or it should be retained for making investments. So in most of the cases, the firms have investment opportunities. Those investments can be funded either with internal accruals or with external sources. So this case, when you are funding with internal accruals, the issue is the available funds after meeting finance cost either distributed as dividend or retained internally for investment. So the question of distribution of dividend or reinvestment into business shall be taken care by the financial management. So in that case, the split between dividend and investment has to be done after considering these dividend decisions. So the purpose of investment decisions is to allocate the scarce resources or limited resources to various assets in order to maximize the rate of return. The purpose of financing decisions, while making investment, you must get some return. Therefore, while you are procuring funds from various sources, you must get the funds at minimum cost in order to get maximum return on assets. Therefore, financing decisions are intended to minimize the cost of funds. Third part here, dividend decisions. So dividend decisions is about taking decision about about allocating the funds for dividend or for investment. So the slicing of the funds for dividend and investment shall be done by using dividend decisions. These three areas are the important financial decisions in any organization. To take right financing decision or to take right decision at the right time, we must have the knowledge of financial management and its applications. So now, in CA Inter, or IPCC level, paper 8 consisting of two subjects. First one, financial management. This is covered in group 2. Financial management and economics for finance. So this subject covers 60 marks, this covers 40 marks. So the syllabus of the subject consisting of time value of money, chapter 1, investment decisions, cost of capital, capital structure, leverages, risk analysis, dividend decisions, advanced concepts, in financial management, working capital management, scope and objective of financial management, sources of finance. So the entire chapter consisting of the entire subject consisting of around 11 chapters. So this chapter, time value of money, one more chapter is there because this is officially not counted. Ratio analysis. From examination point of view, this is not required. The preparation is not required because the time value of money is a basic. It just tells you the sum of the basics to be applied in various chapters, but this is not important for examination purpose. But most of the concepts covered in time value of money are relevant for understanding some of the topics which are going to be discussed in the later areas. That's why. So this is referred at basic level. Of course, this time value of money was already studied as mathematics of finance at foundation level. Then officially the entire subject consisting of 11 chapters. The question paper will come from these 11 chapters. Out of 11, chapter number 10 and chapter number 11 both are theory chapters. The rest of the 9 chapters are problematic part. So 9 plus 2. Then. So the design of the question paper will be like this. 60 marks are covered from this subject. Question number 1. Five marks questions into 4. So there are 4 questions, each carries 5 marks, 20 marks. This is compulsory. Then 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 questions will be given. So including the mandatory question. So out of the balance 5 questions, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out of the balance 5 questions, at least you have to attend 4. 4 questions into 10 marks each, 40 marks. So 20 plus 40, 60 marks. I repeat, out of 5, 1 question means you have a choice of 1 question. So rest of the questions should be mandatorily answered. So this is the structure of the entire question paper. Now, first chapter investment decisions. So what is the purpose of this chapter? I am giving you just a glance of all the chapters, why they are included in the IPCC level. Investment decisions. See, every business requires long-term assets or fixed assets as well as short-term assets. Long-term assets requires substantial investment at the initial stages where the return are scattered over a period of time. For example, you want to purchase a house and the same should be provided on rental basis. Once you bought the house, again it will be given for rental purpose. Now tell me, the cost of the house including registration, say 1 crore. If you invest 1 crore therein, every month you would get some rent. Every year you are going to get some rents. For example, your monthly rent on that investment, say 12,000. 12,000 into 12, every year 1,44,000 will be generated from that asset. Suppose the life of the house, say 20 years. In 20 years period, 1,44,000 into 20, that could be the minimum amount, or you may get more than that. After 20 years, the value of asset may go up. When you are selling the asset, its value would be more than that. Now you have to decide based on the rental incomes over the next 20 years, based on the terminal value of asset, that is sale value of asset after 20 years, is it worthwhile to invest 1 crore as on today or not? So that kind of investment decisions requires forecasting as well as the proper judgment of allocation of funds. So first you have to understand what is going to happen in future. So based on that you are making estimate of all the cash flows that are generating from the asset. So rental incomes are nothing but cash flows. The sale of asset is nothing but cash. Then those cash flows should be compared with the investment value. Then you have to take a right decision. So that case, is it better to invest 1 crore based on the future cash flows? Is it better to make investment or not? Those areas can be easily done, and at the same time you can take right decision once you learned about investment decisions. So investment decisions tells you how to handle the long-term investment, how to analyze the long-term investments, how to conclude the long-term investments. So once you go through this chapter, you have a knowledge. You can easily take any long-term investments with very ease because you have sufficient skill to tackle the issues. Second chapter, that is chapter number 3. Officially it is the second chapter, cost of capital. Sir, what is cost of capital? See, when you are borrowing money from various sources, equity, preference, debt, etc. These are called as long-term sources. Money is not borrowed at free of cost. If you are issuing equity shares, the shareholder will ask you dividend. Preference shareholders will ask you dividend. Lenders will ask you interest. So these are all finances. The minimum rate of return expected by the finances is known as cost of capital or borrowing cost. So this chapter tells you how to find out the borrowing cost of investment. I am looking for a project that would cost say 5 crores. So to start that project I need 5 crores. So I need to raise that money from somewhere else. So while procuring 5 crores from various sources, first I should know how much cost should I pay in future. So the cost calculation part is done using this concept, cost of capital. If you have knowledge of cost of capital, then you can easily calculate the borrowing cost of 5 crores. So to calculate borrowing cost, we need some data, we need some procedures. Those procedures are thoroughly discussed in this chapter. So that is about chapter number 3. Chapter number 4, capital structure. So these two chapters are interconnected. Based on capital structure, cost of capital is decided. Let us see. You need 5 crores for a project. These 5 crores you can borrow in any combination: debt, equity, preference, debt, equity, debt, preference, only equity. Like that you can take any combinations. I can get this money by issuing equity shares. Entire 5 crores. 50%, 2.5 crores can be from equity, 2.5 crores from debt. Like that I can take maximum combinations. The purpose of this capital structure is nothing but mixing. How much should be taken from equity, how much should be taken from debt, how much should be taken from preference. That is the issue here. You have several combinations, you can take hundreds of combinations, but you can take any of the combinations. First you should know the objective of taking this combination. The objective of taking these combinations is to minimize the borrowing cost. Where should I borrow the money? Where should I get the money when I have multiple options? That is the issue here. See, 5 crores. The mix of various sources out of this 5 crores are decided after analyzing certain factors. So capital structure is essential to decide the mix of various sources to finance the project. The objective of designing optimal capital structure is to minimize the cost of capital and to maximize the value of firm. Suppose if you are borrowing money at rate mix, it would reduce your borrowing cost. When you have less borrowing cost, your profit will go up and eventually your EPS will go up. Eventually your share value will be go up. That's why maximization of share value, maximization of EPS are the ultimate objectives. If you want to fulfill those objectives, you must decide proper mix of various long-term sources. Once you study the capital structure chapter, you must know so the where you have to borrow the money, the sources where you have to raise the money. That mix you can easily calculate. That is about chapter number 4. Chapter number 5, leverages. See, in company sort of organizations, the end risk, the ultimate risk of business has to be borne by the shareholders because they are the owners of the business. The issue is how much risk the shareholders has to take. That we must either we have to express that or otherwise they have to know that. Leverage. So this chapter studies the internal risk emanating from the risk which is emanating to business from internal sources as well as external sources. So that risk of various factors was studied with the help of leverages. Let me explain you. See, in the last year you have 2 crores of revenue. Eventually 25 crores of taxable profit and 25 lakhs divided by 1 lakh shares, say 25 rupees of EPS. This is about last year. Now this year your sales may go up or may go down, because we don't know the actual sales until the completion of the next year. That's why we make predictions of the next year data. How much revenue we are going to get? Let's assume the revenue for the next year might be, say, plus or minus 20%. Suppose you are getting a 5 crores revenue in this year. 20% means 1 crores plus or 1 crores minus means in the next year your revenue would be either 4 crores or 6 crores. That case, if revenue would be 6 crores, what would have been the EPS of the company? If revenue, if it is stay at 4 crores, what would be the EPS? Like that, we have to predict the impact of EPS as a result of change in revenue. So those predictions are easily done when you study the concept of leverages. After studying the leverage, you can make calculation of EPS as well as sales required to get the desired EPS, or if you want to get the EPS of say 7 rupees, what would have been the sales revenue? Like that we can make any calculation with ease. So this chapter helps to identify the estimated values in future. So in business, usually we are considering about revenue, operating profit and EPS. If sales changes, what would be the impact on operating profit? If sales changes, what would be the impact on EPS? If EBIT changes, what would be the impact on EPS? Like that, the various combinations, the impact of one variable on the another variable can be easily studied with the help of this leverage chapter. That is about chapter number 5. Chapter number 6, risk analysis. See, in investment decisions, we are going to make prediction of future. First year what would happen, second year what would happen, third year what would happen. So these predictions, whatever prediction was made, if it is going to be real, then only our estimation becomes correct. If our estimation goes wrong because of change in any factors that were taken while making estimation, the profit making project might be end with loss making. A loss making project might be ended with profit making. So anything can happen. That's why the assumptions which are taken at the time of estimation of various factors might be changed. Therefore, we must analyze the possible changes in various input factors while taking our decision. For example, the company wants to introduce a new product. They are expecting that the life would be say 5 years. The company is predicting that the selling price of the product would be say 100 rupees per every 100 rupees per unit in every year in the next 5 years. This is nothing but an assumption. So the actual selling price you can assume, you can calculate, or you can know only when you launch the product. Until that you don't know any information about the selling price, but you assume that the selling price would be 100, it is not expected to change. Tell me, is the selling price remains constant? No. You may fix the selling price more than 100 or less than 100 because of the available information. If selling price increases than what we predicted, suppose we are anticipating that the price would be 100. If the actual price was 120, then there is no issue, you would get more profit. Then tell me, the selling price at the time of launching the product was fixed at 90, then you lost 10% of your revenue because of the discount. That case, that discount might have impact on your profitability. I hope you understood. So, any variable can change in future. The price may go up or may go down. The cost may go up or may go down. In that case, there might be positive impact on the profitability or negative impact on the profitability. In case if there is any negative impact on the profitability, that should be carefully analyzed. To understand the impact of those variables which are going to have negative impact on profitability can be studied and analyzed with the help of a chapter called risk analysis. In simple words, risk means difference between expectation and actual. If anything goes wrong, so if anything goes against the expectation, then only we call it as risk. So to study the risk of a project, so this concept, risk analysis, is used. Next one, dividend issues. I told you already, this is a separate subject. A company which has a surplus profit after meeting all expenses and finance cost and taxes had to decide whether this project should be paid as dividend or retained internally for meeting the future investments. If you retain the profit, the shareholders of the company would lose guinters thereof. I mean, if you retain the profit, you are not distributing any dividend. If you had distributed that profit, they have cash in hand that will be invested elsewhere and they would get some return. When you are retaining the profit without distribution, that case they would lose some return. The return that the shareholders would lose by retaining the profits by the company is known as opportunity cost. Therefore, the company has to take dividend decision after analyzing the opportunity cost of investors and the rate of return on projects. For example, if the dividend was not distributed and the entire amount, if it had been invested elsewhere, the company say would get 30% return. If this dividend passed on to the shareholders will invest this amount elsewhere, they would get say 10% return. This 10% is called as cost of capital or opportunity cost. This 30% is called as rate of return on assets. Since the company's reinvestment rate is greater than investors' reinvestment rate, we suggest the company to retain the profit and use it for reinvestment. Suppose if the company makes reinvestment at 8%, but the investor had an opportunity to invest 10%, that case we suggest the company for dividend distribution. So, how to take an appropriate decision whether to hold the profit or distribute it? retention or dividend distribution are decided in this chapter, dividend decisions. So when you have knowledge about dividend decisions, you can easily suggest the company about the dividend policy. So when a company has to distribute dividend, when a company has to retain the profit, and that profit should be used for investment. So advanced concepts in financial management. This is part of investment decisions. So we can say it as this is part 1, this is part 2. Nothing new here. This is only the extension of investment decisions. Next one, working capital management. This is one of the key chapter and important chapters. See, in the balance sheet, in the asset side of the balance sheet, you can observe both fixed assets and current assets. While you investing the money in fixed assets, the care has to be taken and the money should be allocated properly in those assets. While allocating money among various long-term assets, we use investment decisions. So investment decisions is nothing but a technique which is used to allocate the funds among various long-term assets. Similarly, in current assets, we have cash, inventory, debtors. Here, issue is how much cash we should carry, we should retain in the business to meet day-to-day expenses. How much credit should be granted to customers? Because if you don't give any credit, so nobody will purchase goods from you, then that case the revenue becomes zero, you won't get any profit. So to survive in the business, we must give some credit. So the issue is how much credit should be given. Third one, how much investment should be done in raw material, work in progress. So how much investment should be done in finished goods. So these are all related to current assets. So investment, how much money should be invested in current assets can be decided with the help of this chapter, working capital management. After completion of, when you learn that working capital management chapter, then you have a knowledge of the various current assets should be maintained in a business. Therefore, to make investment in fixed assets, we use investment decisions. To make investment in current assets, we use working capital management. To raise the required funds, we should calculate cost thereof. That is done with the help of cost of capital. When you raise the money from various sources, you have to fix a proper mix. That is done with the help of capital structure. When you doing the business, the shareholders have to bear the ultimate risk. So when the sales go up or go down, eventually the profit available to shareholders would be affected. So on account of change in sales, what would have been the impact on the shareholders' profit was analyzed with the help of leverages. So while you investing money in long-term assets, we have to make few assumptions. However, those assumptions may be deviated. If any of the assumptions, if possible to deviate, then we have to analyze the extent of deviation from the estimation. So that would be done with the help of risk analysis. When you are doing business, you may have some profit. Eventually, you have to decide whether that profit should be passed on to the shareholders or retained internally for investment. That is done. The retention versus distribution done after studying dividend ratios. Ratio analysis. See, this is part of financial analysis. This is not used by regular financial managers. Financial management is different, financial analysis is different. Both are two different core areas. See, you may appear good and healthy. But if you had any issue that is not visible by seeing you, that's why we have to do a regular diagnosis. After 25 years, after 30 years, after 35 years, you have to do the complete body checkup. In that, you don't know, but you may know few things after watching the results. After testing your blood, so they will tell you if you have any sugar, BP, any thyroid issues, kidney issues, liver issues. So all these are easily known when you go through the diagnosis. So a person might looks healthy, but he may suffer few problems. To know those problems, we do diagnosis. Similarly, a company had a strong balance sheet and has been in profits from the last few years, but still it might have some issues. The financial health of the company, whether what are the core strengths of the business, what are the core weaknesses of the business, is it performing well compared to its peer companies or not? So the strengths and weaknesses of a business are studied and highlighted by using the concept called ratio analysis. So ratio analysis highlights the strengths and weaknesses of a business by comparing with the similar companies in the industry or with historical data. So if you had a knowledge of ratio analysis, you can analyze the financial statements of any company. So those financial statements, for example, you want to take ONGC. This belongs to oil and gas sector. In oil and gas sector, we have number of companies like GAIL is there, Mahanagar Gas is there, IGL is there. Similarly, Reliance Industries is there, IOCL is there, BPCL is there, Oil India is there. There are number of companies in the same industry. So you have to take the balance sheet of exclusive oil extraction company like ONGC, and you can also take the balance sheet of Oil India, IOL. So both are oil producers in India. So by comparing the balance sheet of one company with another company, then you can know whether the ONGC is performing well or not. So in that case, we use the concept called ratio analysis. Like this, these entire chapters are going to be discussed at the IPCC level. So we are starting with time value of money. It is had no importance in the examination, but the concepts which are discussed there are connected to few chapters. That's why it is discussed here.